even the jurors, albeit under his breath. Trump has also reportedly fallen asleep in the courtroom on both days. Let's check in with Asa Hutchinson, former Arkansas governor, former prosecutor, and former Republican presidential candidate. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to ask you to first put your legal hat on, then I'm going to ask you about some politics here. First, on the legal side, are you surprised that jury selection has been moving so quickly?
Well, it happens, but in this case, it really accelerated. I mean, yesterday the story was no jurors were selected. Today, 7 have been selected. So clearly it's moving much more quickly. I think that's a tribute to the judge holding the attorney's feet to the issue of selecting a fair juror. I think what America sees here is a jury system that we've got to value rather than demean and to put down as being unfair in some way. Those jurors, even the ones that excuse themselves, trying to do the right thing. And I think you're going to see some jurors here that are picked that will work hard to provide a fair trial for both sides, and that's how the system should work. But it's accelerating. It's getting very serious for Donald Trump.
And, you know, as you look through what we do know about each of these individual jurors, it seems a lot of them don't know that much about the case, or at least that's what they're saying. They seem to watch a kind of like balanced amount of news. You know, they'll say things like, I read the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. I watch Fox News and MSNBC, et cetera. I mean, you know, these seem like unicorns, but do you think that you're going to be able to get a fair jury?
Well, I do. You know, it's what you've got to watch for as a defense attorney or a prosecutor, and that is the potential juror that doesn't say very much, that really, really wants to get on the jury. And they're couching their answers so they can qualify, and they're smart enough to know what would disqualify them. That's what you have to worry about. You'd love to have the people that are a blank slate, but in this case, no one is a blank slate because everyone knows the parties involved, the issues involved here. But can they set it aside and give a fair trial? Most of them can. I think they will be able to have that result in the end.
Let me ask you about the gag order. So Trump continues to complain about the gag order. The DA now ratcheting up the threats with regard to violation of it. What do you make of it? Well,
actually, what bothers me as much as anything is the witnesses, Mr. Cohen, going on the news shows and talking about his testimony and running down Donald Trump. And I think Donald Trump has a point to make that, you know, he's got access to the media, but he has to be muffled in his comments. So the gag order is consistent with what judges ordinarily do. It is fair. But in this case, it's very unusual that you have a star witness that is out there, and also Ms. Daniels is out there making statements. And that makes it much more difficult to sustain the logic of that gag order.
Now, I want to ask you to put back on your political hat, all right? I said last night on the show that I think a conviction here is more likely than some think, but I have no idea what will happen. But regardless of what the outcome is, it may help him politically. Here's what I said. I said acquittal, big victory. Hung jury, also a huge win. Convicted of a lesser misdemeanor, won't serve time. He'll argue the felony case was political from the start. And even if it does end in a felony conviction, it's the lowest level felony in the state. He could escape any jail time. But imagine if he does go to jail, either at sentencing or for something like the gag order. Then he can really play the victim. A lot of people disagree with my take, and I was curious what you thought about that.
Well, I think that's the unpredictable element, and I do believe that his ardent supporters are not going to be persuaded even if there is a conviction. That's the hardcore 25%.
What about the Asa Hutchinson voters? What about the Asa Hutchinson voters? What about those independents, those right-leaning voters?
It makes a big difference, and that's the political risk, and I think you'll start seeing that. The political risk is not just from a conviction, but the political risk is also about the salacious details being presented in court over the next 4 or 5 weeks. Think about that split screen. You've got President Biden dealing with the serious issues of national security, of Israel. Whether you agree or disagree with what he's doing, He's focused on that, where you've got Donald Trump in the courtroom dealing with porn stars and hush money payments. That's not good for a campaign, and I think that's the political risk that he will experience over the next few weeks.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.